for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
One of the great Bill Murray performances of all time. Ghostbusters was just an absolute staple in my childhood. You?
Oh, yeah. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Oh, my gosh.
He slimed me. I still remember, yeah, of course.
Oh, Slimer,
that was
yeah.
one of, we all wanted to be slimed when we were kids.
Here's the thing. I want some Ecto Cooler right now from High C.
Right.
Don't they have that? Don't they still make it? That's a blast from the past.
Who was your favorite Ghostbuster?
Venkman.
Venkman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Peter Venkman. Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is that Bill Murray gave off vibes of, look, he was hitting on Sigourney Weaver. You don't get better than that. Peter Venkman was a cool dude, man. And he represents the everyman. He's not good looking. He's funny. And that's why you want to be with Dr. Peter Venkman. Come on. All right.
Bill Murray's best role was in Kingpin.
I will not argue. Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
If you know, you know.
And everybody says Caddyshack, right? Obviously.
Ernie McCracken's one of the great sports movie figures of all time.
Of course. All right. Let's jump into the program here. Our show is brought to you by G2G Bars, all natural ingredients and no preservatives. The G2G Bar, perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, nutritious boost. Look, if I came around trick-or-treating, I would not kick a G2G Bar out of my bag. It's that good. It rivals.
That's what you should be giving out
to
the kids for Halloween.
Absolutely.
With that big protein boost.
That's right. Let's jump into the program here with the cut. Let's get right into it. Mitch Harper, our BYU insider. It's the cut right now.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Sorry.
Egon was pretty cool, though, too. Joining us on the program right now, he is Mitch Harper, our BYU insider for KSLSports.com. Mitch, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys. I'm currently doing this interview. It's a first. I'm currently in a purple inflatable Grimace costume.
Yeah!
Oh!
Hey,
what is
listen,
Grimace?
Grimace is maybe the scariest character of all year.
Oh, he's the hottest character of all year. Mets fans love you right now, Mitch.
And he's been involved in multiple murders. I think he's a serial killer now, right? I mean, my goodness.
Grimace is evil, right?
Yeah.
He is, but the Hamburglar is the greater evil, so I'm just holding it down for Grimace.
Don't forget about the mayor of this weird town, Mayor McCheese. So
how does he get lost? No one ever talks about Mayor McCheese.
No one talks about Mayor McCheese. He always had a sash on. I don't know why, but there you go. Mitch, you're going to go out. You get to do you've got young kids. You can do the trick-or-treating thing, so you're nice enough to join in the program here. Where does Halloween rank on like a fun time? Is it as a parent for you, or is it just too much of a chore?
Probably too much of a chore.
There you go.
No, I like it. I think it's gotten fun. It's more fun as the kids get older, because now I dress up with them. And when they were really young, it's like, what's the point here? I'm the one trick or treating, and they don't know what's going on.
Right.
This is kind of pointless. But now that they're getting a little bit of finding their personalities, and they're putting together their costumes, and it makes it a lot more fun. And they go out with their friends, so it's fun. It's a good time. Halloween, I wouldn't put it near the top on the holiday big board, if you will, but it's still a solid holiday. I enjoy it.
Moving on to BYU now, the bye week. It's crazy that they're 8-0 at this position, Mitch. I didn't think we were going to have this conversation when the season started, but here we are. What does November look like for them as they move forward here? Because that's what matters most. The 8-0 is done. The hay's in the barn there. What are we looking at in November for this team to get this done? And whether it's one loss or they run the table, obviously whatever it takes to get to the Big 12 championship game is most important. What has to happen for them to get there?
They got to go 3-1, and they've also got to hope that Baylor continues to win games. And Baylor will be critical because they're a tiebreaker team, and when it comes to helping that overall winning percentage for common opponents in the Big 12, so that's going to be one to kind of keep tabs on. But BYU, though, is in a great spot where I think all 4 games they should be favored, and pretty close to a touchdown in all 4 games. And undefeated season is really on the table, and it's kind of crazy to say that. And I almost kind of pause because I in my time covering BYU football over the past 10 years, I've never said that going into November because it's never really been a realistic opportunity, but it's there, and the opportunity's in front of BYU, and I would be stunned if they're anything, less than 11-1. And man, 11-1 season, that would be pretty remarkable stuff. But another thing BYU's got to hope for too, if they do drop one game, is Kansas State loses to Iowa State, and BYU of course holds the tiebreaker over K-State. But just to avoid any sort of wild tiebreakers, get Kansas State another loss, and then you're pretty much cleared the way for BYU and Iowa State to play in Arlington.
Mitch, obviously the rivalry game has taken many different forms in the time that you've covered the team and the 20 years that JJ and I have covered this rivalry. I think it's taken a lot of different forms. Where is it at right now? I mean, obviously they haven't played in a conference for quite some time together. I don't remember. You told me this the other day. What was the actual last time they were conference mates taking on one another? It must have been a long, long time.
Yeah, 2010 in the Mountain West. It was the 17-16 game. BYU was up 16-0, and Robert and I took the foot off the gas, and Utah rolled in the fourth quarter and then blocked the field goal attempt at the end. But it's been a long time, and the stakes are high for BYU in this game. And it's an interesting rivalry setup because I don't subscribe to the thought that Utah fans are content with the narrative of their season saved by beating BYU. That's a storyline of the 80s and 90s, and I think Utah fans feel like they've moved beyond that. And this season's always going to probably be viewed, no matter win or lose against BYU, probably as a missed opportunity and a bit of a letdown, considering what aspirations they had. But for BYU, they go into this game still pretty confident. They're a 4-point favorite, which a little bit lower than I was expecting. I thought they'd probably be maybe 6.5, and that could climb, but it's still enough to say, hey, maybe there's a chip on the shoulder still, where they're still not getting, the respect that they feel like they deserve by the prognosticators. And BYU's in a good spot, and Kalani Sitake and Kyle Whittingham, they've got a healthy respect for one another, and I think that's been a positive development. It's very Lavelle and Ron McBride like, minus the bank commercials, and so it's a lot of fun between those two. And I expect a really good game, and I think it'll be one that BYU should go in still pretty loose, because even if they do lose this game, there's still a path to going to the Big 12 title. So, but one thing that's going to be interesting though about this rivalry game, and after it's played, is maybe a little bit of the hangover effect too. So, because if you do lose, it could be one of those classic cases of one loss turns into two quick, and then it snowballs on you. So. That's something I'll be kind of monitoring with this, weird, little bit different date for the rivalry game. But I like it. I think it's going to be another entertaining BYU-Utah matchup, and now with the Power Conference stage.
Nobody expected BYU to go 8-0, as I mentioned earlier, but the team has maintained that they believe that they could do this, and they're certainly backing that up with their play. But how much has that team used this us against the world, the chip on the shoulder they may have about how much doubt there was about what they could accomplish this season? Are the coaches using this to their advantage? Is this team using it to their advantage?
They definitely are. I mean, Jake Retzlaff's in post-game pressers acknowledging the Vegas lines, and he's saying that he's using that as motivation. I mean, it's one thing, for a player to say that, and then it kind of adds a little bit more factor when it's a BYU guy and bringing up the Vegas lines. But hey, they find ways to use any sort of motivation to prove folks wrong, and so far it's worked great for them, because I still think there's a lot of people that don't think that BYU is for real. I mean, throughout Orlando, the sports radio stations down there, the consistent theme building up to BYU UCF from all the national talking heads that they had was BYU's probably a fraud. And so there's still a lot of proving to do for BYU. But I'm very fascinated to see going into the BYU-Utah game where the college football playoff rankings have BYU, because I still maintain that the playoff rankings are going to, I think, pleasantly surprise people, where I think they're going to have BYU a little bit higher than people think, than the AP pollsters. I would expect it to be around 7 or 8. And so that's kind of my expectation going into the playoff rankings. But still, players have publicly said they're chasing a national title, and they've said it publicly. And, BYU hasn't said commentary like that since, the early years of Bronco Mendenhall, when they were saying they were chasing a national title. So BYU is pretty confident, and they feel like they got higher aspirations than just simply Arlington. They're looking at the playoff, and they're chasing that thing.
LJ Martin has been, and the run game overall has been absolutely stellar the last couple of weeks. I know you asked Kalani about whether or not he was still good to go, and for all that we can see, LJ Martin is healthy, and going forward, he's that premier back. What would it mean if BYU got a legitimate 100 yard a game rusher as a consistent output now that this has been a new thing for them just in the last couple of games, and they're 8-0 now, and the run game showed up kind of overall like 5 games into the season. So how big of a deal is it to have a guy like LJ Martin be that premier back?
It's huge, and LJ's got so much ability and potential. He has the ceiling to be an all-timer at BYU. He really does. He's got so much ability and talent. And honestly, looking at the final 4 games of the season, outside of Utah, I feel like he'll hit the century mark in 3 of those games: Kansas, Arizona State, Houston. I'm still kind of curious to see how BYU fares on the ground against Utah, because historically BYU's never been able to run the ball well against Utah. BYU's had some really good teams, and they always tend to struggle against Utah, with a few exceptions like 2021, 2008, oddly enough. But so that's one I'm still kind of wait and see. And I think if LJ has a huge game against Utah, I mean, that would be an impressive showing, because Utah's still got a good defensive front, and you guys know that as well as anyone. So I think that's going to be a great barometer to show how much progress LJ has made. And if he does have a big game against the Utes, man, he's gonna take on a massive spotlight going forward.
College football playoff rankings are going to be released on Tuesday. We won't talk to you before then, so I wanted to get your take on where you think BYU is going to be and where they should be.
Yeah, I think they're going to be around 7 or 8, and I think that the playoff committee, they tend to have a similar ranking to how the BCS rankings. There's been some formulas that people have put out with the BCS, and if the BCS was out right now, BYU would be around 7. And typically the playoff committee has aligned with some of those models, and they're the strange computer rankings like Billingsley and Sagarin and all these rankings that no one ever focuses on. That's the mainstream sports fan, but they tend to dive into those, the playoff ranking or playoff committee. And BYU's got good strength of record metrics, which they love. Game control is a good metric in favor of BYU right now. Those are things that the committee historically in the 4-team era has liked. And I think BYU's got, that chip of SMU is going to be a valuable one for BYU. They need SMU to continue winning, and I think that's going to bode well for the Cougars. I think they're going to be around 7 or 8.
We were talking about where Notre Dame and all these other teams who are just like big brands who, it's tempting for the College Football Playoff Committee to not give those teams a nod. Does BYU have to be undefeated to have even a conversation about them being in that College Football Playoff? Because a second team from the Big 12 getting in just seems so unlikely, considering how we see the rankings typically go.
As long as they get to the Big 12 championship and win that game they're in. It is kind of funny how people, even like ESPN broadcast, they'll say, the 5 automatic bids. There's no automatic bids. It's just the 5 highest ranked conference champions, and that could be from any league, really, in theory. So if BYU lost a string of games but still won the Big 12, they could be the 12 seed potentially if they were a 3-loss team, hypothetically. But I think that as long as they get to the Big 12 championship game, they will be in that playoff and they win it. So if that won't take them away from the playoff there. I think though for BYU, if they go undefeated in the regular season and then their one loss is in the Big 12 championship game, that's going to be the fascinating conversation because, how does the playoff committee view a one-loss Big 12 team where they played an extra game, a 13th game against a really good team that was high in the college football playoff rankings? Will they knock that team? And where is it going to become this, huge debate with, campaigning with the SEC teams in Big Ten? I just can't. I would hate to see where the playoff committee would go with a 3-loss, team from the SEC or Big Ten over a 1-loss Big 12, and that would be an ugly narrative and image for the Big 12 in year one of this playoff. They've got to get 2 teams into that thing. It's critical. Brett Yormark said a couple weeks ago that he's optimistic that they're going to get 2 in. They need to, because from an image standpoint, this is a tone-setting year for the playoff going forward. They need to get 2 teams in.
We've reached another milestone in the season, eight games in and a bye week. I was curious, 8 games in, who do you think BYU's MVP has been this year? Who's been their most valuable player?
It's a good question. I mean, I would say the MVP thus far – probably, I'm going to go with Jake Retzlaff because, Jake has. And the thing is that it's been a complimentary football. It's been all across the board. Every side of the ball has chipped in these wins for BYU in this winning streak. But Jake has been, successful in these recent games where he's operated at a high level and he's moved this offense up and down the field. Where the offense, they're scoring more than 30 points per game in Big 12 games. They're the number 1 scoring offense in Big 12 games this year. And you got to give credit to Retzlaff because without that quarterback play operating at a high level, this would not be an 8-0 football team. You could still maybe say they could be, 6-2, maybe 5-3, but they'd have a few losses if the QB spot was struggling. So I'd give Jake the MVP, and a little bit of that too is the low expectations coming in, and he's far exceeded that. So I'd give him the nod through 8 games.
I asked that, Mitch, because this team has been unbelievable this year and surprised everybody, but they don't have an All-American. They don't have an Ashton Genty in the backfield. You know what I mean? Like, they've been able to do this without All-Americans, without that superstar player, which it makes it even more of a mystery as to how they've been able to do this.
It's a great point because you look through all the Conference of the Week awards. I mean, outside of the trick play this past weekend with the fake field goal, I mean, there's not many Player of the Week, recipients in the Big 12 or from BYU. I mean, I would say the overall best player that I've been most impressed with week after week this season has been Jacob Robinson, the cornerback for BYU. Whenever teams go to his side of the field, it just doesn't end well for these opposing offenses, and it's getting to the point where they never target his side of the field. He is an absolute lockdown corner, and in a league where there's Travis Hunter, the best player in college football, Jacob Robinson's among the best cornerbacks in the Big 12. He is a special football player. So I think he's been the best week after week, but still no one talks about him nationally. I mean, BYU as a team isn't talked about nationally. Right. It's still all about Colorado. It's lesser extent Iowa State, but BYU is a complete afterthought still in the national conversation still outside of the, occasional Jake Retzlaff piece about, his unique path to BYU. There's really not much talk about BYU. So they still have this chance to, they control everything in front of them, yet still they're kind of getting overlooked, and that's a recipe for a team that's played the chip on the shoulder card quite well this year. That's a good place to be.
Mitch Harper, BYU Insider, KSLSports.com, also full-time dad who has got kids that he's got to get out and get trick-or-treating. So, Mitch, we'll let you to it. And, look, don't murder anybody tonight, even if you are Grimace. Please don't.
Guarantee I won't do that.
There you go. Mitch, appreciate it, man.
Unless.
Thanks, there's Mitch. I just imagine him the entire interview in the purple suit. Like breaking down as serious as possible.
Did we just interview Grimace?
We just interviewed Grimace, bro.
Sweet.
He stood up and immediately was like
Grimace knows a lot about the BYU Cougars.
Right back to dad mode. All right.
It's a big night for Mitch. Big night.
Let's take the break here. Got more to go around the corner. Stay here, 97.5 The KSL Sports. We've got our NFL Blitz next, right here.
This is your Cougars at 30 update on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Kalani Sitake speaks about the development and the depth of BYU's roster through the course of this season.
We knew we need to get better depth, and when I say better depth, it's a lot of people think that's just getting players in there, but it's a combination of things of getting players, but also the players that you have is developing them, getting them stronger and faster, and again understand the playbook a lot more. I mean, you look at the progression in them developing. That's the development is something that takes time, and the depth is what benefits from that. So we're going to still keep working on that. We still have some ways to go, and we still need some more development. This is a great week to get that done.
That is your Cougars at 30 update. Attention commercial property managers and business owners. This winter, don't let snow turn your parking lot into a haunted house. Let GoPave Utah clear the scares away. GoPaveUtah.com. The NFL Blitz starts right now on JJ and Alex 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. It is Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. I hope you take the appropriate amount. What's a good dad tax on the Halloween stuff, JJ? Like what's the thing? Because like my kids, they know at some point you start getting a little bit heavy-handed with like taking all the Reese's peanut butter cups, and that's the problem.
That's a tough one because there's specific items Dad wants, right?
Yeah, and so
I'm going for the Kit Kats. I'm going for the
Twixes.
I'm not grabbing the apples or the toothbrushes. One of the other weird things that people give out to the kids.
Yeah. My neighbors give out like that sugar-free xylitol gum. Mm-hmm. It's good for your teeth.
What's wrong with your neighbors?
That's their business, actually. That's what they do. So they're like,
I
it's
don't
a marketing campaign.
Screw off. Give the kids some candy.
Give the kids some candy.
Give the boy a damn candy.
Let the boy get the candy. This portion of the show brought to you by
awful people.
No.
Your neighbors are awful.
Oh, they're good. They're good people. Hey, the NFL Blitz brought to you by Taco Tuesdays every Tuesday on the KSL Sports Zone. Brought to you by Cafe Rio. If you listen in on Tuesdays all day long on all the shows, we give out a $20 Cafe Rio gift card. Learn more about Taco Tuesday deals and all the great deals available at CafeRio.com. We have JJ NFL Blitz stories in there, but you just rolled one out before the break that kind of hurt my feelings, man.
Yeah. Do we need to do a breaking news sounder?
I don't know.
Is that available?
I don't know. We won't make Alex run through the hoops in there. Oh, do we have the breaking news?
Oh, look, Alex is on it today.
From the
NFL news desk.
From the ligaments.
From the NFL
news
Blitz
desk.
news desk.
Yeah, there you go.
Ligament. From the orthopedic news desk
there you
here,
go.
since we have this happen all the time. Puka Nacua, according to multiple reports, left practice early today with a knee injury. That, according to a team spokesperson, he's now listed on the injury report as a limited participant in practice. This is the same knee he had previously injured. That's not good. Now, what was his injury? It was a PCL sprain. He probably pushed it a little too hard, and now I'm worried that we'll see. Hopefully he can practice tomorrow.
Yeah.
But the fact that he left practice today and it's the same knee that kept him out for a lot of the chunk of this year, and this goes all the way back to the summertime.
Yeah, and were you actually shocked that he made it through his entire rookie season, like kind of unscathed from the injury standpoint? Like he was a guy.
To say this, but yes,
he missed a lot of time in college.
I've covered him since high school. I've never seen a more talented athlete in my life, in person, that I covered.
Yep.
Right from that level all the way up through. That's never been the issue. And it didn't surprise me that once he got the opportunity that he blew up last year, because we knew he was capable, The problem has always been, can he stay healthy? He couldn't do it at BYU. He would have set records at BYU if he would have played 4 full seasons with the Cougars. But the injuries have always been the issue, and that continues to be. And it's not like anything massive. It's just those little things that come up, and a lot of it is because he plays so hard. He plays the game so hard.
Yep.
They were praising his blocking last week. I don't think there's a receiver in the NFL that blocks better than him. He plays like a tight end.
He's tough.
He runs like a deer. That's why he's great. The injuries have always been a factor, and here we are once again. Hopefully it's not a big issue. Hopefully he can practice and hopefully he can play.
Joe Burrow was asked about, I always love this, when the players are asked. By the way, don't get mad when they give you an answer and they're honest about it. He was asked about, hey, should the team trade to find you some more weapons? And he said, that's not my job. And that's the right answer. Because if you do the whole, no comment, but I think I could be doing a lot better if I had support around me. Like, you start going down that Aaron Rodgers route, and
you got to go back in that locker room.
You start becoming a bad dude. Yeah,
and the guys you're playing with, they're like, wait a minute. You want the team to go get guys that are going to take my job?
Do you think that Aaron Rodgers has friends in the locker room?
No.
Maybe like his center?
I think Devontae Adams respects him. I don't think they're friends.
No. Yeah. No, Devontae Adams looks at Aaron Rodgers and goes, that's a means to an end right there. I could revitalize my career with him.
Right. I haven't had the same magic since I left.
I found a great story for you. So on ESPN right now, on their NFL page, Jeremy Fowler did a write-up. Here's the title of it. The Chiefs are positioned to dominate the NFL for the next decade.
Get out of here. BS.
I was like, you know what? I should roll this out for all the Bronco fans out there. And part of the thing that he points out is that it's all based off of the fact that they're essentially set up like Tom Brady was in New England. It's like just plug and play the system. Just take the system, plug and play. Mahomes is already, like, I think he's the 17th highest paid quarterback now in the league after he got that $500 million deal. Suddenly, like, being $43.5 million a year is a freaking steal. And by the way, he's okay with that. And he even said, I think people were like, do you feel disrespected? You haven't been re-upped and made the highest paid quarterback. And he's like, it is what it is, man. No, but what are they doing? The Chiefs are 7-0, and I think that we all could recognize that they're not blowing the doors off of everybody.
No, they're not.
And they're deep, but their defense is freaking good. Again, see the Patriots in their best years. They had phenomenal defenses. They had a quarterback that was back there probably taking less money than he should have or could have.
Yeah.
And then a plug-and-play system where if it's Randy Moss, fine. If it's Julian Edelman in the slot, fill in the blank with the fast slot receiver and get yourself a couple tight ends. Again, plug and play. And it worked for Tom Brady, and it's going to work for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid until the year 2030. That's when they're scheduled to start losing.
Jeremy Fowler's right, and it makes me sick.
2030. Could you imagine another reign? Now, 2030, Andy Reid will be 72, which is when, of course, Nick Saban retired. Andy Reid, I don't know. How long does Andy Reid keep going? He loves this, man. He's having a great time.
Can't see him doing anything else.
Right. Well, I can see him doing anything else because he does all the Allstate commercials now, too.
He's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, man.
He really is.
Hey, man, that's great. But who are the chefs? I'm glad they resurrected that commercial. It's good. I love it. Okay. Next up on the old NFL Roundup. So the Panthers are trying to figure out what Bryce Young's, quote, value is ahead of the trade deadline. Uh-oh. So you went 1 1/4 years and you're done with this kid?
Yeah.
So what is the value?
Anthony Richardson's next.
I will actually tell you what the value is of Bryce Young. You ready? Mid-third round. Right now, mid-third round.
You want a mid-third round pick?
No,
You're
saying
not getting that.
That's what he probably. I bet that's about what he'd garner. Now,
No.
if you wait till the end of the, what do you think, a 6-rounder?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did Zach Wilson get?
Oh, I think it was a 6-rounder and a cheeseburger.
Zach Wilson was the number 2 overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft.
Yeah.
Well, Bryce Young was the first. I mean, what's the difference? Draft picks are valuable.
Fine. I'll take a double cheeseburger and a 5th-rounder. My final offer. That's all I'll do for you. Oh.
So here's the thing: if you trade that
laden burger,
Andy Reid is going to eat it.
Yeah.
So you're not ever going to get it.
It's going to get to the front office. It's never going to leave there. Okay. Who's better, J.J. Watt or T.J. Watt?
TJ. And no one wants to admit it or say it.
He hasn't won Defensive Player of the Year yet.
TJ?
I don't think he has. Has he? Well, he's 4-time first-team All-Pro, so maybe. But JJ,
He's won 2021, and that was it. 2021.
he was the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
And then JJ won how many? Now I got to find out now. I think he won 2 times. Was he league MVP? No. That was too much.
AP Defensive Player of the Year winners. J.J. Watt won it 3
times. So give it to older brother for now. I think TJ is more dynamic.
I think
he's a
TJ is
better
going to
athlete.
play in the league longer.
He's more dynamic.
Why I believe that.
He has a body that will last a little bit longer. He's a little bit.
He's won more.
Yeah, that's true. Play for the Texans forever. You're going to want to get out of there early. All right. Let's take a break. Speaking of getting out of there early, let's come back. We've got our best and worst coming up. You don't want to miss it. And when we return, we've got some. Oh, finally a shout out to the Dodgers. Just a team that's been through all of it.
They really could use a jolt
boost?
right now.
Yeah,
really good boost.
yeah.
We feel really bad for the
All
Dodgers.
right. Good for them to win the World Series. They needed something nice to happen to them. We'll come back. More to go around the corner. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
This is your Utes at 50 update on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Kyle Whittingham believes a win over BYU could change the trajectory of Utah's season.
It would be a big help. Yeah, obviously they're in desperate need of a win. There's no doubt about that. 4 in a row now, and I think the average margin's about a touchdown in every game. And so, it's not like we're not competing. Our guys are playing hard. They're practicing well. Today was one of our best practices. There's just things that we've got to get better at, and particularly on the offensive side of the ball.
Need a new roof? Utah Roofing Pros offers new installs starting at $49.95. Utah Roofing Pros, premier roofing experts serving Ogden to Provo. For free inspection and pre-qualification, visit UtahRoofingPros.com. JG and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
Welcome back to the program. JJ and Alex, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Final segment of the day as we clear the way for the Utah Jazz and the San Antonio Spurs. Wemby's in town. There you go. And it's Halloween night. Come on. Got to enjoy it. Best and worst brought to you by Doug Smith Dealerships in Linden, American Fork, and Spanish Fork. Great service starts with know-how, and nobody knows service like Doug. Best was, I'm going to vote for the Utah Hockey Club bouncing back. That 5-1 win over Calgary was needed. It was awesome. Loved every second of it. Glad that they got the bounce-back win.
My best, Dodgers win the World Series. Congratulations to the LA Dodgers and a lot of LA Dodgers fans here in Utah. You're celebrating today.
Did you see that their radio station went offline while the last...
man. What a nightmare.
Yeah, their last couple of outs.
The worst possible time.
Technical difficulties. Oh, we won the World Series, but... check out the podcast.
Yeah, if you haven't heard,
check out the podcast.
Thanks to us.
All right. For JJ, I'm Alex, and our producer today was Alex. We'll be back again tomorrow, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.